Okay, here we go. Make sure we're rolling. Happy day to you, whether it's good morning, afternoon, or good evening. Today is 10/21/21, so Thursday, October 21st. And hi, I am Emily Bigelow. I am the creator of the Satisfied Working Mother Method. Welcome to episode number 3 of our, sorry, I need to turn some things down there. Welcome to episode 3 of our Unpolished Supermom series on emotional intelligence. So this is real talk about real life with real solutions for real busy moms. Today we are deep diving into, first of all, we'll start with the emotional scale so you can kind of see how things progress or how you can help progress things. Then we're going to talk about some processing, some actual ways to process your emotions, because I don't know about you, but most people are not taught how to process emotions, right? We know anger fires us up and puts us into action. Anger requires action. It's a fast instillment of boundaries, as we talked about. Sorrow, sadness, depression kind of put us into, we have actual chemical hormones responses within the body to our emotions. And emotions are the language of the soul. They're also, as we talked about, if you were to liken your life or your emotions, you have this lake, you have a beautiful, colorful, green, vibrant lake where there's an inlet and an outlet. And if you don't have an inlet and an outlet, then you have a stagnant pond. So emotions are the things that make our life amazing. They also are the thing that make life sucky and like all of the pieces in between. And so the object is to allow the emotions to come in, let them make their deposits, do what they need to do, and then move them along out the lake. So they don't do that when they're not processed because they require action, they require movement, they require energy, because that's what they are. And they're creating actual responses within our bodies to have us do those things. So I'm going to start with the emotional scale. And I'm hoping that you're going to be able to not see this backwards. I'm hoping that we're going to do a flip here, but if not, you'll just get to follow along with me. And I see that you can't see some of the bottom of this. So maybe we'll start like yay. If you are a member of the Satisfied Working Mother Method, this is in pillar 3. It's in the first element of that pillar. Of the pillar of mastering the cult of perfection, or the paralysis of perfection, is because that's what paralysis is doing. And it's become this rampant cult in our society. So it's in, you have a graphic, a visual that you can like literally just screenshot. This is the emotional scale in that third pillar. Okay, so, but I've written it down here and I see my lighting changes a little bit as it's a cloudy, rainy day here in California, so yay. Okay, so starting at the bottom of the emotional scale, fear, grief, depression, despair, powerlessness. The importance of the emotional scale is because you have to progressively work your way up. When you understand the emotional scale and you can literally process emotion and work your way up, like life can just feel better a lot faster. You don't have to stay stagnant in an emotion that you feel like you can't control. And you can't get from like down here to all of a sudden up here. Like it just doesn't work like that. You can't go from 0 to hero. So it has to be a gradual progression, and it can go really fast. Actually, you don't have to stay stuck. So I may need to change a little bit of lighting in here. The sun is non-existent today. Okay, so I want you to think, I have a personal example that I shared in the Unpolished Supermom this week, but I'm not going to share that deep of an emotional experience of my own self here, just publicly. That's one of the benefits of being a member of the Supermom Academy. Sorry, I misspoke, of Supermom Academy. So let's just liken this to what we have happening in society. Okay, so some people want us to stay down here, stuck in fear or grief, depression, despair, or powerlessness, right? Then we move up to insecurity, guilt, or unworthiness. And this is an interesting thing because we can sometimes get stuck here with some of the religious paradigms that we've been told. Jealousy, hatred, rage, these are moving emotions, right? So you kind of get into revenge, anger, they call up movement. A lot of times we're like, oh, it's not good to be angry. But anger needs movement. So you figure out a positive way to move the anger, which we're going to share a process today that is going to help with some of that. See if I can set it down now. I can. Okay. Yeah, hopefully you can see that now. Then from anger, you go into discouragement, blame. So think of some of these levels that we've gone through as a society recently. We have had a lot of conversations about race, whether that's labeled in jealousy, hatred, rage, revenge, anger. A lot of people stuck in some discouragement of the state of things, whatever. Blame. When you have emotional intelligence and you're able to look at this emotional skill in a situation that you have, and you're able to go, oh, that's right where I'm at, and then move yourself up. That's quite amazing. Okay. So if you're first playing with this and you're learning this, don't be too hard on yourself if these feel a little elusive but you'll see that you naturally, like a cork on the water, you're naturally going to bob to the top. Unless you hold a cork down, a cork is going to float. And this is your emotions. They're going to move up. Blame, worry, blame you who have and you who don't, and you who have and you who don't. Blame, right? All of these are still in this negative emotion, doubt, disappointment, overwhelm, keep stuck in those, right? But moving up still is impatience, irritation, frustration, breaking free from there. Then you could go into pessimism, like, I really don't know that this is ever going to fix. Kind of bored with the way that things are going. Into contentment, hopefulness, optimism, to a positive expectation and belief, and happiness, eagerness, enthusiasm. These upper emotions are, and I'm sorry about the lighting. I'm really gonna, we got cloudy days, so it is. These upper emotions, they've really wanted to keep us out of some of those. And creativity we don't feel like creative beings when we are stuck in the lower emotions, and we are creative, and that's what we came here to do, which is why the desire of some negative energy, dark forces, whatever, to keep us down. Happiness, eagerness, enthusiasm, passion. How long has it been since you felt passionate about your life? Freedom, empowerment, knowledge, appreciation, love, and joy. So you can actually, on certain subjects, work your way through through some statements of saying, okay, well, I don't know. I mean, this is, okay, so I'm going to start right here at content, or we could start at pessimism. I don't really know that the state of the world is going to change. I don't really know that we're going to have maybe some new governments and new elections. And I don't know if our finances are going to be able to get better, blah, blah, blah. Right. But you know what? Things are okay right now with me and my family and da, da, da. And, when people get together and they put ideas together, then change can happen. And there's roundtable discussions and masterminds, and things can be created. So we can make change. We can do some of those things as human beings. And we can, if we can't change what we don't acknowledge, if we can acknowledge some of these systems that have been broken down and they're not working, then we can get together and we can do some changing. We can create what we want moving forward. So see, we're moving into some positive expectation and belief. And on the other side of that, 3-5 years from now, I'm really looking forward to some of the changes that we make in our education system, in our government, in our elections, right? You can choose to step into some freedom, some empowerment, some knowledge. Appreciation is a really easy one to get into on your own, because you can literally gratitude journal. And there's a difference between gratitude and appreciation. And I won't go too deep on that. It's just that gratitude is usually given for something that has already happened, and appreciation can be given regardless of what's happened. So when we give gratitude for, groceries that we have. Like I'm thinking Thanksgiving dinner. So we're having like, we've got this nice spread and blah, blah, blah. We have appreciation for those things that are already there. Or sorry, we have gratitude for the things that are already there, but appreciation can be regardless of situations or circumstances. And love and joy being the highest, right? Like unconditional love and joy. So that is our emotional scale. If any of you are interested in a graphic for that, I probably could share that graphic that I have with you that is in the Satisfied Working Mother method. I would just need to email that. So you can email support@coachbigelow.com and I'll get that to you. There's two things left that I want to share with you today. And I'm going to apologize again for the lighting being off, and hopefully our audio is running fine and all the things. Bring that down just a little bit. Sorry. Hey, this is called the Unpolished because you get everything, right? You get like bad lighting. Sorry. Hopefully audio stays okay. I'm going to share two processing tools to emotions. And I want you to think about, as I start out here. So one of these processing, we cover a lot of ways to process emotions because these aren't the answers for everything. And sometimes looking at the emotional scale and trying to move up it's not always the way. Sometimes it's not a gratitude or an appreciation journal that is the way. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. Today, I'm going to share two. And it has to do with, do you ever know somebody who is like, they're a complainer, like they kind of complain almost a lot, and they kind of suck to be around when they're constantly complaining. And we all have complaints. We all have things to complain about. It's a matter of doing it to the right, like to move it out in the right energy. So I'm going to share with you conscious complaining. So I'm taking this from the language of emotions, conscious complaining. And then I'm going to give you a resource to also move anger through, because anger is normal. It's natural. It comes up to instill boundaries, but it's usually when people process it the wrong way. Most people don't know how to process the anger, so they fly off the handle. And remember, we talked about that line between action and reaction is how you respond. Between action and reaction is how you respond. That's what you have control of, is how you respond. And that is your responsibility. And if you look at the word responsibility, it is literally ability to respond. So responsibility is literally your ability to respond. So it's your responsibility between action and reaction. So if you can acknowledge the anger when it comes up, you can even look at the emotional scale and go, okay, how do I get to even discouragement from anger? I'm going to give you a tool today to process anger in a healthy, safe way that moves that emotion through, because, there's a lot of things that can be done, but I'll give you a tip. So I'm going to start with conscious complaining, because I don't need to always be around Pollyannas, but for crying out loud, I don't want to listen to people who have nothing to do but gripe. Okay. So this is a trick, a processing tool called conscious complaining. And as I mentioned, I have a few other processing tools. Maybe I'll share those with you next week, but we'll dive deeper into the emotions as we go. So conscious complaining out of the language of emotions is where I learned this. So what you do with conscious complaining is you select an object. Actually, I'm going to kind of read a little bit out of here. Here is how to complain consciously. You can be grounded or not. So you can kind of see if you haven't grounded yourself consciously before, I would recommend looking up ways to do that, but you can literally find ways to ground yourself. There's ways you can do it out in nature, standing on the earth, even the concrete, spine up against a tree, a lot of those grounding ways. You can visualize a grounding cord, grounded or not, inside a boundary or not, doesn't matter, right? All that matters is that you are kind of in a foul mood and you have a little bit of privacy. And you start your conscious complaining with some sort of a phrase that's like your beginning phrase, like, I'm going to complain now. I'm complaining now. So that acknowledgement of the start, and then whatever it is that you want to complain to. So if you're inside, you can complain to the walls or the furniture, to a mirror, whatever you fancy. If you're outside, you can complain to plants, trees, animals, nature, the sky, the ground, like whatever. If you're a strong complainer, you might want to create a complaining shrine for yourself with supportive, grumpy pictures and whatever, right? So when you have found your perfect little complaining site, whether that's like in the closet, whatever, find an object and give voice to all of your dejected, hopeless, sarcastic, nasty, bratty thoughts, self comments, whatever. Bring dark humor out of the shadows and really shine and swear the frustrations, the stupidities, the impossibilities, the absurdities, like all of your situation. Complain for as long as you would like. You would be surprised how fast, how quickly this works. I would encourage you to set a timer and not complain for too long. Like if you feel like you've got a ton to complain about, but like get it all out, okay? And then when you feel like you've kind of got it all out, whether you need to maybe raise your voice and all the things, thank the furniture, the walls, the ground, the trees, like whatever your complaining shrine is, whatever you're complaining to, thank it for listening, and end your conscious complaining conversation by loving or by bowing, kind of thank you, just thank you for listening. And that's it. Okay. So that is conscious complaining. And if that sounds wild and woolly and out there, try it. Just try it and see, because you could probably complain to another human being for a lot longer than you would complain to, right? Because we feed off of some of the energy of others. And so sometimes then we can get stuck in this loop. So you can process through a lot faster. Try conscious complaining. All right. The next processing tool that I'm going to share with you today is, sorry, and I'm just going to move things around a little bit because I just don't like them where they are, is anger. And this is anger towel whipping. So I don't know if you had siblings, but remember you get the kitchen towel and you'd like, and sometimes you did it for fun, but really it was because you were mad at them. Yeah, there might be that. So we all probably got to experience the towel whipping, unless you're an only child and then maybe your parents did it to you or your cousins or something. But when this is a tool to be used when you are angry. So anger is a moving emotion and it needs movement through and out, not bottled up and held in. It doesn't go away, right? Just like it seems to maybe settle for a little bit and then compound over time. So the suggestion here is whenever you feel that moving anger, direct it to, this time you need an actual object that's going to be stationary, like a chair, something that's not going to tip over if you towel whip it. Okay. So as with conscious complaining, set a timer, and 5 minutes is usually about enough, but you tell the chair like that I'm mad and I'm going to take it out on the chair for a few minutes, right? I'm going to take it out on you for a few minutes and then just start, the beginning, whatever it is, like let it all out, whether you need to cry, complain, like speak all of the angry words, yell every time that you want, whip the chair with the towel. Okay. So anger needs movement. And this is a really good way to work through some of that. Sometimes my anger just goes out at the gym. I don't feel like I've had that come up for a long time, but this could be childhood issues. This could be current issues. This could be, anger about some of the sadness or the sorrow that's come up for loss of future, right? Or the loss of certainty or the continuity from now till 5 years from now, if retirement's going to happen, all the things. So whatever needs to be, right? It's important to not stay too long in anger. Sorry. It's important to not stay too long in anger. So you'll probably find that you feel complete when the timer goes off, maybe even before. That's totally fine. Thank the chair for being available to take all of your anger and then let it know that you feel better. Thank you for just being there and hearing me out and letting me like towel up you and like all the things, and let it know that you feel better for that. If you need a second session sometime later on, say you hit that timer and that wasn't quite enough, you don't feel complete on that, you can come back, but honor the timer. So a couple of things to help you today, because here's what most people do. Most people don't know how to process their emotions. Most people just, whatever comes up, whatever they feel like, fly off the handle. That line, their ability to respond between action and reaction is not intentional for them. It's not one that they choose to create. That it's just whatever, which maybe that's okay when you're a little kid, but it's really ugly when you're an adult and you don't know how to process your emotions, to that your ability to respond is not in a healthy way. And allowing the language of the soul, the emotions, to come in to do what they're going to do, leave the beautiful mineral deposits of life, and then flow out is very, very important. I know we just kind of did 2 negative, complaining and anger today, but having the emotional scale and the ability to look at like, okay, here's where I am. I'll just give an example. I was able to look at this emotional scale when a medical diagnosis came in to our family. And I could see right on the emotional scale where I was at. And I could see where I was working through blame and overwhelm and discouragement and doubt and disappointment and all the things. And you just need to go to the next level, right? You can't go from 0 to hero. It's just too big of a jump. So if I know that I'm, here, I mean, you're going to start here and you kind of see some of them you'll skip and you can see where you are and you need to kind of, okay, how do I get to the next level? That's really all you're after on the emotional scale. So there's a couple tools for you today in dealing with your emotions instead of maybe just sweeping them under the rug like families do sometimes and not talking about any of them. And then it just is like this big tripping mound of grossness under the rug and people are tripping and falling on it like almost for generations, right? It can happen. And so this is a way for you to learn to process your emotions and then help your children be able to process their emotions. Because in the end, the goal is to have the next generation be happy, healthy, happier and healthier than us. I mean, really. And so if we can help them see where they are, even if by looking, we can see where they are on the emotional scale, and then we can move them up out of it, then we will all be better off, because then they will teach the next generation and all this goodness just continues on. So I apologize for the discombobulated and the darkness, the whatever might be off today. This is just unpolished, and it's just real talk about real life and real solutions for real busy moms. And thank you for joining me today in this 3rd episode of the emotional series, Processing Emotions. Next week, we'll either jump into what they're doing in the body if emotions aren't processed, because your tissue will tell the issue. So if you don't process emotions, they get hung up in the body. There's literally a chemical response in the body to the emotions, and things can go on and be created and manifest. So we'll either go into the emotional component of some of this, or we'll deep dive some further on some processes. If you have a preference on something that you would like to hear, email me and let me know, like, hey, I want some more processing tools, because I have a whole list of them. We go over them in Satisfied Supermom Academy. And also we go over them in the Satisfied Working Mother Method. So thank you for joining me here today for the Unpolished Supermom. Take care of you over the next week until we're back again. If there's any complaining that you need to do, try conscious complaining, and any anger that comes up, get that stinking towel out and just whip a chair like it's a sibling. Okay, that will be all for now. Take care of you.